What's going on, guys? So I'm finally doing my spoiler review for Pacific Rim Uprising and featuring a couple of reactions from the Stardust app. And I know I always get new subscribers or I get people that stumble across my videos, but what is Stardust? Stardust is an app that allows you to do quick 30-second reactions to movies, TV shows, trailers, and not only do you get some sort of video opinion out there, minus all the time and effort it takes to do a YouTube review, but it allows your opinion to be condensed and straight to the point. And I've been using this for a little over half a year. It's great. I'm doing a partnership with them featuring your guys' reactions in spoiler reviews that I do. And on that note, it just gives me an excuse to go out and actually do spoiler reviews for movies that I normally wouldn't. And if you want to be featured in my next Stardust reaction video, I'll announce what that will be at the end of this video. Go ahead, download the app on your phone, create an account, go ahead and follow me at RealMrRobinson, or go to the link below, stardust.app.link/RealMrRobinson, and tag me in your reactions. That way I can see them for myself, and whatever reactions I find to be the best, I'll pick them and put them in the video. Let's dive into Pacific Rim Uprising, which first I gotta say, I want to give a big thanks to everyone at Stardust and the people at RealD3D for sponsoring an event that I got to go to see Pacific Rim Uprising early. A couple of other people were there as well, the Real Rejects, John Bailey, the Epic Voice Guy, Jay Washington, and a couple of other noticeable Super Stardusters were out there as well, including Xavier Thomas, who I actually did a quick collaboration with on my account, and I was also on his as well. So I had a really great time with this event. I just wish the movie was a little bit better for me personally, because it is my job to give my fair and honest opinion of what I think about a movie. And with this video right here, it'll allow me to go into a lot of the problems I had with Pacific Rim Uprising, but also address the stuff that I did like. So the first reaction we're going to start off with is from Ryan Gordon.
Alright, I'm driving to work and it's taking forever. So, Pacific Rim 2 is getting a lot more heat than I think it deserves. It's not a good movie. Specifically, Charlie Day's character, how he's utilized, is the point that falls the flattest. I really think they should have gone a different direction if they had to make this movie. I didn't really like the little girl. Her character was kind of pointless. The action, though, was actually pretty cool, and I wanted more of that.
Okay, one thing I gotta say right off the bat is I'm noticing a big trend in Stardust where a lot of people are doing reactions from their car while they're driving, and props to them, because I could never do that. I've done a few reactions in my car, but I'm always parked in the parking lot or in my driveway, and I hope I never have to hear a news story where there's a car accident and the culprit was Stardust, because that is just, I don't know, it's a weird trend that I've noticed. I mentioned this in my original review, but I don't think this movie is as bad as people are making out to be. Some people are saying it's on par with Independence Day Resurgence, which I don't think so at all. That movie was just plain awful. And some people out there are saying it's as bad, if not worse, than the Michael Bay Transformers movies, which is total bullshit, because at worst, Pacific Rim Uprising is just bad. Transformers, on the other hand, is sexist, racist, just downright offensive. And those movies go on for 2.5 hours, sometimes even 3 hours, whereas Pacific Rim Uprising was only an hour and a half. So even if you were tortured by this movie, at least it was short. Ryan did mention Charlie Day's subplot in this movie. I'll address that the closer we get to the end of this video, because I have some shit to say about that. The action scenes are definitely a lot of fun, but this is really one of those instances where I know I'm a critic, and I have to really look deep into these movies. But this was really a movie where if there was not any monster action going on, the movie was boring. It was like being a kid. So, I mean, if I were ever to own this movie, which I don't see myself ever doing that, I would only own it for the same reason I own the worst of the Godzilla movies, where I just watch all the action sequences and just skip everything involving the human characters or the plot. But maybe I'll stick around for John Boyega, because he's just so damn charming in any movie he's in. Let's move on to the next reaction, which is from Amy K, also known as Movie Checklist, who was actually at the same event I was at as well. Sorry we didn't get to meet each other, maybe at the next Stardust event.
Now that I've had a couple days to collect my thoughts, I want to talk a little bit about why I enjoyed Pacific Rim Uprising so much. I know a lot of people are saying it's not as good as Guillermo del Toro's original, but I didn't watch the first one. I want to, But I went into this thinking it was just going to be a really fun popcorn flick action movie, and it's exactly what I got. That's all I wanted from it. And seeing it in real 3D made it look so much better and so much fun.
Yeah, one of the big things that I really admired about this movie was the 3D. I imagine this movie wasn't filmed in 3D, they probably did it in post-production, but it looks pretty damn good. Technology has come a long way since the 2010 remake of Clash of the Titans, where that 3D, along with The Last Airbender, was just terrible. But this one was pretty damn good. It's probably one of the better experiences in 3D that I've had in a long time, because I remember seeing The Last Jedi in IMAX 3D, and because it's a 7-story IMAX screen, I had to move my head around just to kind of adjust to the 3D. And it just was distracting. So Amy's reaction was definitely a little more positive than mine and Ryan's. Let's move on to another kind of middle-of-the-road reaction from Abiddles16.
So I wasn't the biggest fan of the first one, and for me, this one is about, on par. It was nice seeing the Jaegers fight in the sunlight, not rain like in the last one, and the colors were nice, but the action and the story is just ridiculous. It's like a giant anime and Saturday morning cartoon put together. But what puts this one over for me is John Boyega. I found him very charming and very charismatic. He's definitely the most rounded character in this simple movie. Everyone else is pretty much fine. There's a girl, Cailee, she's good, and Scott Eastwood is bland as hell.
I've already gone into Scott Eastwood and how he just doesn't really work in this movie, and I don't understand why Hollywood is trying to make him a thing. But I will say, in the lineup of actors that Hollywood has tried to make a thing and have failed at, like Sam Worthington, Jai Courtney, and Liam Hemsworth, at least Scott Eastwood's the first American, because it's just been a bunch of Australian dudes. With Sam Worthington, he was just one of the lesser-known people in Avatar. With Jai Courtney, it's not just that he's bad in good movies, he's bad in shit, like A Good Day to Die Hard and Terminator Genesis. And with Liam Hemsworth, he's just in the shadow of Chris Hemsworth, who is so much better and funnier and more charismatic than Liam ever is. And with Scott Eastwood, I feel like it's not 100% his fault, because he kind of is in the shadows of his dad, Clint Eastwood, especially when you consider the movies that Clint Eastwood did back when he was younger, like the Man with No Name trilogy, the Dirty Harry movies. So I think there's just that little piece in our mind that goes, you're never gonna live up to your dad's potential, kid. I say kid, but he's probably a decade older than me. And in terms of the prettier looking movie, I'm conflicted, because Guillermo del Toro has such a unique visual style that every bit of Pacific Rim, the first one, looks like a painting at points. It just has some gorgeous shots throughout the whole movie, even if the action scenes take place at night and in the rain. And in this movie, as she said herself, it's very much like an anime or a Saturday morning cartoon, and I think that was the intention that they were going for. And I could be willing to love this movie on that note, but there's that moment with Charlie Day, which I'm not going to get into just yet. I'm almost there. We're going to get a few more reactions in here. Let's move on to the next reaction. Alright, the next reaction that I have comes from Cody Curtis, who is probably one of the most negative reactions that I've seen for this movie.
This was a giant disappointment, yeah. Pacific Rim Uprising, it sucked. I mean, John Boyega, he adds a lot to this film. His charisma is great. He gives a really good performance. But what they did with Charlie Day's character, no spoilers here for any of you that actually saw this thing, who are planning to see this thing, but this movie, it was boring, the action didn't really interest me like it did in the first one, and it's just not good. Do not see it.
I will say that the action scenes, while I do like how they're shot during the day, and you can see what's going on more clearly than the first movie, for some reason, in that first movie, there's something about the settings that just give the action scenes more weight. When you watch the first Pacific Rim, it really feels like it's the end of the world. And for this movie in particular, once the kaiju come out, it feels more like an extermination, because there's only 3 kaiju that run across Tokyo, headed towards Mount Fuji, which is their objective to terraform the world for the aliens, but it just never felt like anything was at stake. When I said in my review that this movie feels very uneventful and underwhelming, I say that just because not a whole lot of kaiju action takes place, and there's never really a point at all where you feel like the Earth is in true danger, or it could very well be the end of humanity. And now let's get into the big point of controversy with this movie. The one thing in this movie that myself, Chris Stuckman, Jeremy Johns, and so many other people hate about Pacific Rim Uprising that I would even say is enough to ruin the movie. But you know what? I'm going to let my final Starduster take it away and explain to you what the big thing with Charlie Day in this movie is. And this is from Helix Reviews.
So the part of the movie that I kind of found the most weird is Charlie Day, like, being mind-controlled and stuff. I mean, conceptually, I think that's kind of a neat idea. I think that's kind of interesting. It's kind of something new in this franchise, but I don't know, the execution I thought was kind of off. I mean, him standing on top of the building being like, "Go, my minions," or whatever he was doing was like, alright, that's a little funky. But overall, I thought this was a fun movie.
Yes, Charlie Day's character in the movie is the villain. He is the reason the breach is reopened and the kaiju have come back to Earth, because apparently he's being mind-controlled by the aliens from the other dimension. And I say apparently because that little plot detail doesn't even stick with you when you watch the movie. Okay, a little background first of all. When I watched Chris Stuckman and Jeremy Johns' review for this movie, and they were talking about something involving Charlie Day's character that they couldn't say, I was wondering to myself, oh shit, what is this gonna be? And when I saw the movie, there's a scene where Charlie Day has the brain that he synced up with in the first movie, and he apparently uses it to drift with it on occasion, sort of like the Pacific Rim equivalent of phone sex. It's not really made clear, and when I saw it, I was like, oh, this has got to be the thing that Jeremy and Chris were talking about. That's kind of nothing. That lasts for a minute. But, as I mentioned before, he eventually is the villain of the film because all those times he synced up with the kaiju brain, it somehow took control of his mind, which again doesn't even stick with you because Charlie Day still acts the exact same way he is acting as he did when he was a good guy in the first movie and in the first half of this one. So you just think that Charlie Day is so obsessed with the kaiju that he is willing to destroy the entire world because he just loves them that much. And on top of all that, they don't do anything with him once the kaiju make it to Tokyo. They do with him what some of the Godzilla series have done. When they have no idea what to do with a character, just put them on a roof and have them watch all the action take place. That's one of the big problems I have with a lot of Godzilla movies, as much as I could hate a Godzilla movie. When the characters are completely useless in a situation, they just have them standing on a roof watching all the action take place. And with Charlie Day's character, that's definitely the case where he literally has jack shit to do, except calling a bunch of robots to merge the three kaiju into one mega kaiju. And when that mega kaiju approached Charlie Day's character, I was thinking to myself, please kill him. Please swat him, eat him, whatever you have to do, please kill this guy. But then he just walks past and heads to Mount Fuji. I'm like, boo! So that's the ultimate reason why I feel about Pacific Rim Uprising the way I feel. Because it's an element that's so stupid, so lousy, and so cliche that I almost wanted to walk out. I was just like, no, movie, this is the dumbest thing you could have ever done. And I'm willing to accept a lot of dumb stuff that you do in this movie, but this is dumb to the point where it's not dumb fun, it's just flat out stupid. And those are all the reactions I have to feature for Pacific Rim Uprising. Overall, it's a movie that is okay in the long run. I don't hate it, I don't love it, and as I said in my review, if you want to see this movie for the monster and robot action, then definitely go for it, and see it in the theaters if you can, because you're not going to get the same experience watching it at home. But if you didn't like the first Pacific Rim, or giant robot or giant monster movies are not up your alley, this is not the movie for you, so just go make your own judgment. And there you go, that's my spoiler review for Pacific Rim Uprising. The next spoiler review that I'll be doing involving Stardust reactions will be for Steven Spielberg's Ready Player One. So again, go ahead, download the app on your phone, create an account, go ahead, follow me, RealMrRobinson, or go to the link below, stardust.app.link/RealMrRobinson. When I make the call out for reactions to Ready Player One, go ahead and tag me in your reactions, include spoilers if you want to, because it will be a spoiler review. That way I can see the reactions and I'll go over what I think the best reactions are to feature on the video. So until next time, I hope you enjoyed this review. Leave a comment down below and tell me what your thoughts are on all the little plot details in Pacific Rim Uprising. And as always, this is the Real Mr. Robinson telling you there's only one.